Welcome to Gloria's Gab Live. I am excited today because I have two of my favorite people here. I've got Lynn Bauer Financial, a philanthropist that does so many wonderful things over the years and continues to do so, and her 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 other half, Hal Wanless, professor at the University of Miami, and uh, and we're going to talk about some great things that you're doing for our community and have been doing. And before we start, of course, we have to thank South Florida PBS. Sponsors my show every week. You guys are members, so you get this as well. Uh, if you're not a member, you need to be. You get one of these magazines once a month and tells you all the amazing things happening and what you can see on TV on WXEL and WPBS. And they also have a allhealthtv.com place where you can go and get lots of great information. Doesn't cost you anything and great place to go. I've checked on some things there and it's not a bad deal. Okay, so we have tomorrow we have Gringo Bingo.
Oh my God, this week.
And kind of the reason that we talked about your coming was because the Coral Gables Women's Club puts on Gringo Bingo once a month, and we do it for different organizations all the time. And I learned that you two were raising money for Teachers Wish List, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
every year.
We're sharing the teachers' wish list from Tucker Elementary, which is something that the Women's Club supported over the years, and ACE are going to be the beneficiaries. So it's going to be a good time. So I'm looking forward to it. But tell us, who wants to start? Tell us about. Okay. Tell us about ACE
because all about getting the kids back to school with all their supplies.
Right.
They very often come to school without books, pencils, bookcases, loose leaves, composition books. So Hal and I and our friends, you included, just get together and start like a bunch of little worker bees, starting to accumulate hundreds of composition books. The school is under 95 students right now. So what we do is we try to get loose leaf books, but the teachers come back to school, and we normally at Burger Bob's have a wish list party, and it's a faculty breakfast, and it's right before the start of the school year, where these kids need a little bit of help. Okay. They need these books, they need these pencils, they need these little protractors, the things that we used to go to school with. They need these things, and they come to school without them. So it's up to us every year since 1990.
I know, it's been forever.
This faculty breakfast, which gives the faculty the first day back to school, their first work day back to school, which is Friday, the 12th of August. And they have a nice breakfast. Deborah Carter is the principal. You know Deborah.
Right.
And she's just an enthusiastic dynamo. Hal and I love working with her. Mm-hmm. And she gets the community, us, we get our friends, and the back to school breakfast is a good kickoff for a tough year ahead. It's always rewarding, but it's tough.
And I love the idea of getting the teachers' wish list, because the teachers can have the supplies on hand. Exactly. And as kids don't have them, people don't have to know that they don't have them. They can just give it to them quietly.
Diligently. Like there's one phys ed teacher, and he's delightful. He'll put, I need a gym. So I said, well, that's a tough request. I can't give you a gym. You've got the setup, but I can get you equipment. So he's got gym equipment, really nice workout equipment for the kids. So during the day, they need exercise. They need something to get them away from the mundaneness of just books and pencils and blackboards. So their break is this equipment. So this teacher said, I can use a Nautilus machine. And he sits down and he'll put nothing else on that list because he knows the one thing is expensive. Mm-hmm. The math teacher may say, I need 50 protractors for 50 kids.
Right.
And that's 2 classes. Mr. O, the geometry teacher, said, I need some little calculators. And that's what we set out to do. We put little wish lists out and our little lines of communication to friends, yourself, the newspapers. And before you know it, people are calling me up saying, I'd like to do the highlighters. I'd like to do 100 highlighters.
Right. So we've got
Whatever.
people out there. You can actually, if you want to just come by the community newspapers, you can drop off stuff and Lynn will pick them up.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
We have a
Actually,
big car.
How these guys just came from feeding cats.
Yes, that's a morning project.
Yeah, right. So it's not they care for little ones in more than one way. We've got kids and we have cats.
Yeah.
Well,
By the way, ACE is the Marvin Dunn Academy for Continuing Education.
Community
Education.
I was going to ask you about that because I knew
And
they
it's
changed
a
their
public
name.
school like
Mhm.
Tucker is.
Right.
But it's for kids that just can't handle it in the public schools. So
Mhm.
they're put in here, and there's a real focus to
And they
get
call
them to
these
graduate.
at-risk kids. Is that kind of the
Alternative high school
Alternative-
for at-risk.
okay?
Yeah, and that's somehow the needs of both the school and the kids fall between the cracks, and so our job is to get whatever we can to help the school function and to help the kids who don't come usually from homes that are sort of keeping them well prepared for school to
Exactly.
keep them going. And so it's very rewarding. And I'll tell you, every year when you see the graduation, which might in the school only be 20 or 35 kids, but
Right.
it's kids that have the potential now to get good
Right.
jobs, to go on to college. Many of them do, to join the Coast Guard or something, which some
Yeah.
of them do. It's changing the lives, and therefore it's changing the community. So
For
it's
sure.
really
And we
valuable.
have some pictures of the graduation that's really looks neat. Can you pop some of those up for me? Oh, there you go.
That's
Look at
the
this.
last graduation.
That's the last
That's right.
graduation.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. And
Now, mind you, for a while there, we didn't have graduations.
And
now
this
we
is-
have formal graduations.
this is
Dr. Deborah Carter is a U of M graduate, and she just puts her heart and soul into these kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes she gives them a go to Jesus lecture. I mean, I've seen her with the kids going, okay, reset. We're going to think differently about this.
yeah. Oh,
and
really?
she gets them going, and she just seems to know how to motivate the kids.
That's great.
And they know she loves them.
Oh.
They're very
That's so
aware of the
nice.
fact. It's
Well-
almost like a mother to them.
Oh, look at here. Look
Yeah.
how great. Yeah.
Yeah.
They look terrific.
It's wonderful. And the school board comes. We were hoping to have the new superintendent of schools, but he had other commitments this time. I think it was illness, if I'm not mistaken. So, but the usual suspects of school board
Yeah.
showed up.
Oh, that's
Mr. Montgomery,
nice. Yeah.
Mr. Diaz. So it was wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Great.
That's
Yeah.
walking
There you
in. And
There
there's
you are.
there's another community advocate behind me, but these are the parents and the grandparents or the significant the people who raise these kids
Oh, okay.
are in that crowd.
Yeah.
And it's
Do you have any foster children in that group? Or you
I'm
don't know?
sure.
Yeah, you just
I'm
don't know.
sure we do. I mean,
Yeah,
I know we have. I don't know this class, but
right.
and they try to get a
Okay.
graduate
Oh, there
who
you are.
sings. Yeah.
Yeah.
They make it a little bit of pomp and circumstance because that is definitely missing
Well, they should.
in these kids'
Pretty
lives.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's lovely.
No, give them the same, pomp and circumstance that everybody else gets when they
That's right.
graduate, right?
Before COVID, we had a friend cater, Rita
Right.
Tennyson cater a big buffet because these kids would come to school, pick up their degree, and they'd go, and there was nothing. There was
There was nothing.
No-
Yeah, no
no
flourish. No,
ceremony,
yeah.
No, this is wonderful. You
Yeah.
know, you did it.
This
So-
is a big event in their life, and
Sure, yeah, it's a milestone.
A few of them may graduate from college, but this is it for many
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's important that it is it.
Yeah, I know that they
And-
graduated.
And we got the Rita to cater not just for the kids, so our students had a nice party, but we told them bring in grandma, bring the whole family.
Oh,
And we
no.
were sending them home with take home that night.
No, you're kidding.
Rita was wonderful. And,
Oh, yeah.
and the kids
Was
had
she
a
always
day.
over?
She's
She
phenomenal.
always over.
She and her daughter Seisha
delivers.
and Corey just
Yeah.
made it beautiful.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the kids appreciated it. Mind you, these students, if they fall out, they fall in between the cracks in a regular school. And if they were to fall out of this, these kids are not candidates for going and getting their own GED and going on in life. These are not the kids that have that ability
To
So
figure that out.
This is their
Every
their
investment in these kids helps financially and morally and everything else the community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Because
mind you-
otherwise they're a burden to the community.
And mind you, this used to be over on Zamora, Ace Academy. When
I was going to ask you about
when
that.
the Dr.
Yeah.
Marvin Dunn community ACE, we called it,
Yeah.
was not Dr. Marvin Dunn. It's since changed hands because the first Black principal was Dr. Marvin Dunn, who is
Oh.
an incredible gentleman. He's helped us on many, many efforts with the school, with the Sacred Ground up in Brownsville, the cemetery. He's a historian. He has his finger on the pulse of what the community needs. And
Right.
he adopted ACE long before I was around.
Is
And
that
he
right?
was the first principal. And he started it out.
Okay.
And then I came on the scene in 90 with when there was a handicapped facility for respite care for handicapped
Well, our
children.
women's club, our women's club used to go there, and we did a graduation for them as well,
Yes,
and that everybody was invited to.
that's
It
right.
wasn't
Well,
like
ACE
wasn't
was on
really
the
a
left
graduation.
side of that building on
prom.
Zamora, which had
Yeah.
a nice facility, right? And then on the right was the handicap school. And the kids at ACE used to get community service hours by walking a gurney or a wheelchair or helping a
that's so
child that
nice.
was on a
Yeah.
respirator get around that couldn't communicate. So those kids were great for continuing education, the
But I
service
remember,
hours.
I remember you guys like bringing them TV sets, right, Hal?
Yes, whatever's
right.
needed.
It was like,
whatever.
what do you need? And then there's Hal and Lynn lugging in.
And all the donors over the years that have
I
stuck
know.
with this project.
I
I
know.
remember
Well-
John Holian.
Where'd he go? He left me.
He left
He
us.
just really
John
nice.
Holian
Okay.
helped us bolt the TV down to a stand so that nobody at night could get into the school. And that school was easy to walk in the back door and take whatever you
Yeah,
wanted.
right. Yeah.
Now it's
A little more
locked
secure.
up and secure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's in a nice area. It's right in ACE Academy is now the Dr. Marvin Dunn Academy for Community Education, and Horace Mann is the elementary school on the right side. And it's
And where's
right
it
off
located?
of I-95 onto 95, make a right on 2nd, and it's right there in El Portal.
El Portal.
El
Yeah.
Portal. And it's-
Actually,
nice.
there's an El Portal Women's Club,
No,
and I
I know.
think they've done stuff.
they have.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have. But
they're
I
great.
have to give a shout out to the Women's Club in Coral Gables because we had a history teacher, Craig Bosworth, and he went over to a student one day who had their head on the table, and Craig, Dr. Bosworth said, "Okay, you've got to sit up and pay attention. You got to absorb." And he goes, "I can't, Mr. Craig. I got a toothache." So Craig, we know him very well. He's very outgoing and very hands-on, fatherly. He goes, let me see. And the child opened his mouth, and there were rotted teeth on the top. He might have had grills once, and rotted teeth on the bottom. They were just awful. And henceforth, I talked to Ruth.
Iris or
It was Van Stone, Deborah.
Debbie Van Stone.
Van Stone.
Yeah,
She
our
was the
president
president
at the time.
at the Women's Club in
Yeah.
Coral Gables. And I said, I know these kids are maybe termed out age-wise for the clinic.
Yeah.
Do you think? And she said, have no fear. You send that kid over here and we will get it taken care of. So that,
Yeah.
and that's what this school is about.
Well, actually, they started like extending. We've got a lot of kids that like are in foster care, or they've aged out and they're still or they're in our clinic, and
Yeah.
they're not people that need a lot of stuff right now. They just need the preventative stuff, but they don't have insurance. They can't afford it.
Mhm.
So the ones that are staying in town that are still demonstrating need, we're, even though they're over 18
Very
and
nice.
they're
Very
graduated, we're taking care of them as long as we can.
Yeah.
So
Well, we've
the more
got
money
two
we can
dentists
raise.
right now
Mhm.
who have also extended via these faculty breakfasts we have.
Yeah.
Dr. Shaviano from Coral Gables and Key Biscayne,
Oh yeah.
he was sitting with Maida Vida Perez, and she's a woman about town who's got her hand on every pulse beat of everything going on, also, just like you. And she said, maybe Dr. Shaviano can help too.
Yeah.
And the teachers, one of the teachers, Maria, said,
Yeah.
well, how about us? Can we get a little help with the dental care too? Because we're putting a lot of money into this, our kids, you know.
Yeah, right.
Do you think? And he said, okay, a certain percent off, and
You get a discount.
you get a discount. And you know that
But
helps.
don't the teachers have? They don't have dental insurance.
They probably could if they paid for it.
Oh, you have to pay for it. It's
Yeah.
not like
Hmm.
part of their package.
Yeah. And I know they
yeah.
dip into their pocket constantly.
Oh yeah,
Because
that's why I
Hal
love
and
the
I are up
idea.
there all the time, and we see them buying things.
But that's why I love the idea of the wish list for them, because they are doing that, you know, and you know, you guys are doing this for 2 schools, but I know my church is collecting. The Rotary Club is collecting for the Wynwood area, the Liberty City,
Yeah.
Overtown area. So
Everybody
there's
helping.
so many good people
Yeah.
out there. Guys, if you want to donate or you want to help any of these schools out, I know a lot of organizations that are collecting. I can disperse them.
As of the 12th, because Hal and I are hosting the breakfast, and we make a sheet for each teacher, and each teacher writes I said, put the most important things at the top, and we'll put it as a priority. We've always gotten at least the first 5 things.
Oh, is that
And-
right?
And
Yeah.
like on the gentleman who has the phys ed teacher that has the phys ed class, he just puts one thing, and we make sure we get it. And Hal will actually, when his school is throwing things out, you know,
You save it.
new things,
Yeah.
we'll pick it up, and before you know it, we found a podium that was beautiful. Now, what's the best thing to teach kids self-confidence and
Let
how
them
to
stand at-
present is let them stand at a podium and present to the class.
It's so true.
So he and
Yeah.
I are in the garage sanding this thing down, making it look beautiful. And when we brought it to the school, we had the back
That's
of
wonderful.
the Ford Expedition. Dr. Carter said, "Oh, I want to use that too. We'll use this."
What was that in the picture by chance?
No,
I don't
Hey,
know.
that
is
was
Ilian? Did Ilian come back?
no, that was another
That's
school
another,
where we
but that-
had the ceremony. And
That's amazing, the number of things that they just use. The phys ed teacher said we can't play volleyball. Somebody
Oh.
stole one of the stanchions. So Lynn
Yeah.
and I got in the backyard and got a big tire and
Huge
lots
tire.
of concrete
No way.
and
I kid you,
rebar, and we made this, I don't know, 200
Then how did
pounds.
you lift it?
with
We
difficulty.
got it in the car, and
Yeah,
we
you
took,
made it. And it was
took
like,
some
now,
took
I'll
some
reach.
UM students over to drop it off.
Oh my
So
God.
then
Well,
they had volleyball
That
again.
was
nice.
that was again a community effort, because it's not a good thing to always just do for people without them having some skin in the game.
Exactly.
So I would call up the phys ed teacher and Dr. Carter, and I'd say, we have a volleyball stanchion, and it's heavy, and it's hanging out of the back of the Ford Expedition. We have about 3
and they're
U of
going,
M
how in the world did you get it
we
in the
have-
Ford
we
Expedition?
have 3 strong guys to help get it there, but have the kids waiting. And then there was a whole half a classroom of kids. So
Yeah.
here's the U of M students and the ACE Academy.
Should have taken a picture of that.
We have
We
it
have them.
somewhere. We
Do
have
you
it
really?
somewhere.
Hey, Ilian, could you bring up, we were talking about when
Donors.
you left, the pictures of the donors.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Those are
So,
our ACE angels, and we call it ACE because it used to be the Academy for Community Education, but it's the Dr. Marvin Dunn, because I never want to take that honor away from this wonderful man. But the picture is, see all the smiling faces? Dr. Schneiderman, he's a head of research over at U of M. His wife Ellie died, and Hal and I were very close to them. And he just writes out a check one day. Every single one of those people have done something, and
Well-
something very meaningful over the years that just made the ACE
And
educators.
The guy in the blue shirt right next to you
That's
is
Jerry.
one of the sponsors for tomorrow's
That's right.
Gringo Bingo.
That's right. He handed me two $50 bills the other day, and he said, normally we go over to one of the paper supply places. And when his wife was alive, and Jerry and he and Hal and I would go someplace, afterwards we'd go to an office supply. And Amada would go in and get 12 books. Jerry would go in and get
Oh, because that was the limit.
maximum.
That was the limit.
yeah,
We go in
and-
and out and in and
And
out.
we'd
in
go
and
back
out.
and forth. So Jerry said, and I told him I found a paper supply company that ships me more than 12 at a time. Office Max in those places, it's 12. So Jerry just handed me $50 and he said, get what you need. And I said, well, I've got some loose leaf books, but I need some more loose leaf paper. And I could use 75 more composition books. I can use hundreds of more, but just
Yeah.
to get them started.
Yeah.
So
So the composition books, are those the ones that have the holes in the middle, or are those
No,
the ones
the
that have the?
composition of remember the black and white
No, that's
swirly
okay. That's what I'm
with
talking
no
about.
holes.
Yeah,
they have
No, I
the
know.
And it's bound.
college rule.
The bound.
Nice
And
thin.
it's college ruled. So
And
Jerry
are
said
they big or the little
they're
ones?
they're
They're a little
hundred.
shorter.
they're
shorter?
100
A little
paper.
shorter than the.
They're
Oh, yeah,
they're
that's
8
what they
by
use for dance class.
right.
The dance classes
Those
used
are
to
the
use those
ones.
too. Yeah.
And those are the ones that are best for each, like geometry and algebra.
Really?
Yeah, those are the ones they use.
Oh,
We
okay.
do have loose leaf books. We
Okay.
do get paper for it, but the teachers
Okay.
seem to like the composition books.
Oh, that's good to
Last
know.
year we must have had 500 of them.
Is that right?
12 at a time.
Yeah. That's a lot of trips.
Jerry and I and
Yeah.
Hal, we laugh about it, but
Skin in the game. That was you.
that was it.
That was
Oh
funny.
my God.
Until one time somebody said, "Oh, go ahead, get what you want."
That's right. You can wear them down, and then they'll just say, "Go
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it."
I'm
yeah,
tired
yeah.
of counting 12, 12, 12, and 12. But it makes a
fun.
difference because they start the school year with their supplies.
Yeah. And
And-
do you need backpacks too, or not? Do they pretty much?
I
have
don't.
them?
I'm going to find out on the 12th.
Oh yeah.
There's a
Okay.
possibility, but it hasn't been a big item on the list.
More and more people are telling me that there are plenty of backpacks, but the supplies are where it comes in. But I guess it depends on the school and the ages. For the elementary schools, the kids are starting sometimes for the first time, so they don't necessarily have them left over from last year, or
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
the ACE is all high school. So
it's all high school.
Yes,
Yeah,
9,
so they
10,
they
11,
probably
12.
have it, but
no,
And-
or they don't take anything home.
or they don't take it.
And these kids, much to our surprise, have just as much of a hankering to help the less fortunate. Because when we had the orphanage in India for 10 years,
Yeah.
2005 to 2015, what did the kids there and out at Miami Christian, what did they do? How can we help? They would call me Mom Lynn when they'd come
Yeah,
in, because
right.
that's what I was called at the orphanage. So they said, how can we help? And they actually did projects to send to the orphanage, just
know.
like Miami
But
Christian did.
It's- Yeah, it gives them such a sense of.
Yeah.
um,
And then the letters would come from the orphanage in India to those children who were
Right,
helping.
right.
And that's teaching them how to pass it on and how to continue it all. But
Exactly.
The big thing here is to let them know that Coral Gables, Miami, Coconut Grove, people care about them.
Yeah.
That's that they may not have the parental help they needed, but they certainly do have cities around them.
But
that
allowing
care.
them to give back to us,
Oh,
it's kind of
that's
empowering.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Invaluable.
And a sense of accomplishment, but more than that, just dignity.
And
Uh,
I have to say that the other part is the teachers there are really special to be able. They have to deal with challenges
Yeah, for sure.
every minute and
Every
every
second.
day. So
And I know
it's
that's why
really
you're-
special people that are willing to do that.
And I know that's why you connected with them, because that's what you guys are like.
Oh, we love these people.
I know.
These, like Mr. Harrison. I mean, these are faces that I've seen since the.
Time flies. I cannot believe it's been so many years.
That's right. That's right. In 91, I think I met Mr. Harrison over on Zamora, and now he's nearing retirement, but he's still a young man, and he's
Yeah.
still loved by the kids, and he's a necessity at that school.
Oh,
So
wow.
we love seeing them.
Yeah.
Going back to school because they're relaxed. We had it at a little breakfast at our house where Rita came and did breakfast, and we put everything around the pool. Mayor Jim Kaysen was there, and Hal and I had a group of everybody sitting around. It was like old home week that we hadn't seen our family over the summer because we hadn't.
Yeah.
Everybody was away, and it was just delightful that and we also invited some of the donors so
Right.
that they would actually get to see these people
Where their money
that
was
we've
going.
known since,
Yeah. Well, it's a way to get them excited about what you're doing as well.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, but it's such a great project. I'm always inspired by both of you. You're giving your hearts, and I applaud everything that you're doing. And it's not, and like I said, it's not just for kids. They are taking care of cats every single day, and not only that, no. If you're their friend, they will take care of you however you need it. Lynn, I don't know how many people know this about you, but she's a nurse, so that kind of comes naturally. Caring
See, that
for
craziness
people
comes out in you all the time.
Yeah, right.
If somebody's hurting, you just take care of it.
And Hal being a professor, I mean, with students, I mean, that love of students and teaching, that's kind of born in you as well.
Keeps going, yeah.
Keeps going,
It absolutely does.
yeah. So you two are
It keeps you young. You know that.
yeah.
You don't have time to get old. With COVID, there were too many people that we know and love dearly that were shut in and locked in. And I mean,
I know, and
a lot of us have never used the call Publix and get food. We've just never done that.
and when I was
We don't know that.
when I was recovering from my hip surgery,
You were a riot.
in her condo, she would bring deliveries of food, and I was just one of many stops she made on that given
right.
day.
That's right.
It was like,
we were
what
in
are
soup
you?
kitchen.
I know, seriously, it was crazy.
Whatever we had that night is what everybody. If we
Everybody
had chicken
had it.
parmesan over spaghetti squash, that's what everybody had.
I know. I was in the hospital, and you were bringing the little
needed-
things of
But you
ice
had
cream.
to have Haagen-Dazs.
Of course.
Everybody has to have Haagen-Dazs when they're
It
in
was
the
crazy.
hospital.
Yeah. But anyway, but you guys are just, my favorite people in the world. You're just
Yeah.
awesome, and I thank you so much. And
Thank you.
And
for
I hope
having us.
everybody, if you want to go to Gringo Bingo, email me, Gloria@cnews.net. It's $30 a person. All the money goes to charity.
Oh,
And
that's lovely.
so we help the dental clinic, we help ACE, and we help Tucker, all in one fell
All in one
swoop.
fell swoop.
Uh,
And it feels good.
And Clutch Burger is a lot of fun,
Oh.
isn't it?
Oh, Steve's got a
food.
birthday
Steve-
coming up.
Oh, yes. Steve Bradley.
Steve
When
Bradley.
is it? Do you know?
It's right after the next Gringo
Stephen will
Bingo.
call me and let me know. Oh,
It's the same week.
it was the same week. Well, you may have to have a cake. Okay.
You
Well,
want me to
listen,
bring it?
thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, thank you, South Florida PBS, for sponsoring our show. And actually, I'm going to have Janessa come on in a few weeks, and we're going to get a preview of the fall stuff that they're doing.
Oh, nice.
So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Look forward
Thanks
to
for
seeing
having us.
everybody next week, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming.